All right, welcome to part two of oops. Welcome to part two for week number 3, Math 150, linear equations. During class, I really tried to reinforce the fact that this line you're drawing has infinite points. Each one of these points is an XY ordered pair that makes your equation true. So here's what we're looking at. Given this equation, 3x plus 6y equals 24. That's the equation. I want you to give me the solution. To solve this equation means to tell me every XY pair that will make this equation true. What number times 3 plus 6 times a different number will equal 24? Tell me what those two numbers are. But I want all of the solutions. Well, as you'll figure out, there are an infinite number of solutions. You can pick every single number on the X number line, every fraction or decimal, plug it in, figure out what Y corresponds and correlates with it, and that XY pair will make this equation true. So the shortcut version is this is a linear equation because the X has an exponent of 1. There's no X squared in it or anything like that. So because this is a first degree equation, all of the answers are going to make a line. So if you find two answers through any 2 points on one piece of paper, you can only draw one straight line. So once you have two answers, you then know all of the answers. So graphing this line by finding the slope and the y-intercept. The slope is how steep your line is. The y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis. First, rewrite the equation in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form will be your best friend through this entire week. Chapters 1, 2, and 3, you really want to make sure you understand slope-intercept. The slope is the m in front of the variable x. All right. Enough talking, let me show. You have the authority and permission given any equation to do most anything so long as you do the same value to both sides. So given this equation right here, I'm going to choose right off to subtract 3x's from both sides. I can addition property of equality, subtraction property of equality, multiplication property of equality, and division property of equality. We're just not allowed to divide by 0. So this would then become 0 plus 6y, just 6y, and then I have 24 minus 3x. But what I would really like is y equals some number times my x variable plus some other number. That is our slope-intercept form. Well, I have a positive 24, and then I'm subtracting 3x. You need to recognize that that is the same thing as if I subtract 3x and then add 24. If I put $24 into your bank account and then subtract 3 times a number out of your bank account, your balance will be the same as if I subtract 3 times some X number and then add $24. Okay, in real life, if I'm subtracting first, you might go negative and get fees, but barring that reality, adding 24 and subtracting 3x is the same as subtracting 3x and adding 24. Picture a little basket and Little Red Riding Hood hopping through the forest, putting things in and out of her basket. Yes, I'm goofy. I have a very vivid imagination and wonky ways to remember math stuff. All right, now to get my purple equation to look like this red y equals mx plus b slope intercept form, what's blocking my goal is that 6 times y. So I choose to divide both sides by 6. And I now have y is, this 6 has to divide each term. So I have negative 3x divided by 6 plus 24 divided by 6. You have to distribute that division. So my slope intercept form is y equals negative 1/2 times x plus 24 divided by 6 is 4. I should put this in a purple box. My apologies. All right. These two equations are the same thing. Now I graph them. This tells me my slope has a ratio of -1 to 2. That means I go down, my vertical change, my rise, my vertical change is negative 1 block down for every 2 blocks to the right. So this is my rise over run, the vertical change over the horizontal change in Y over change in X. If you have to build a ramp, the code, at least in California, when I did it for my grandmother, is 1 inch per 12 inches. The slope of the wheelchair ramp is not allowed to be any steeper than 1 to 12. Go up 1 inch for every 12 inches you go over. Go up 1 foot for every 12 feet you go over. So now my B is a +4. So that means 0, +4 is my y-intercept. So there's my y-intercept. That is 1 point on my line. Now to know where all the other points are on my line, I have to know how steep my line is. Well, -1/2. So from this point, I will go down 1 and over 2. And that would be another point on my line. My slope is ratio 1 to 2, down 1/2, so on and so forth. So all of these red dots, and then I can also go explain in the class, -1/2 is the same as -1/2 is the same as -1/2. You can write your negative value in any of these 3 ways, and they're synonymous. Negative divided by positive is negative. Positive divided by negative is negative. And then just stating outright that it's negative makes it negative. So I can go up 1/2, up 1/2, up 1/2, up 1/2. And then I know all of these integer points are also points on the line. I have to give the teacher all the answers. She wants everything. So that means all of these fractions and decimal values in between are also solutions. Now, quick commercial. If you have your computer up, which obviously, hopefully you do, maybe you're watching on a phone, pull up the tab desmos.com. It's a free graphing calculator. It is not cheating to use a calculator on your homework. The goal of your homework is to learn the material. So however you can get this content and understanding into your brain is a win. It's not cheating. So our original equation here was 3x plus 6y equals 24. We rewrote it as y equals -1/2 x plus 4. We proved algebraically that those two equations are the same thing. Well, here is your graph. And look at this. All of these points are also on the line. And they're the same line. Here's the graph. I'm looking right here. I'll annotate it. This equation right here with the red circle. You type in desmos.com, you type 3x plus 6y equals 24, and Desmos will graph it for you. It will show you that your y-intercept is right there at 0, 4. Now rewrite the equation to be y equals -1/2 x plus 4, and it graphs your equation for you. Notice that the green and the red lines are exactly the same set of points. Your line, we don't care about the line, we care about the infinite number of points, the 150 million answers you're giving me in about 10 seconds or less when you draw that line. Because the answers are the x, y ordered pairs. So that's the connection between the equation and the graph. All right, next one. Gray over here. Starting with this equation, I'm going to subtract 12x from both sides. So I'll be left with negative 3y is the same thing as minus 12x minus 3. Put your term with the x in front because you're going for slope-intercept form, which has your term with x in the front. So I've subtracted 12x from both sides, subtracted 12x and subtracted 12x. I now have a negative 3 times y equals, that negative 3 is all I'm looking at right now. I want to get rid of that. The opposite of multiplying is dividing. So I now have negative 12 over negative 3 times x. And there's two different ways to write this one here. I can do minus 3 over negative 3. Negative times negative is a positive. Negative divided by negative is a positive. So slope-intercept form will be y equals 12 divided by 3 is 4. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 is a positive 1. Go Bucks. All right, y equals 4x plus 1. This tells me my slope is 4. I like slope as a fraction. 4 is the same thing as 4 over 1. It's also the same thing as negative 4 over negative 1. My b is 1. So that tells me that 0, 1 is my y-intercept. Graph it in gray. My slope is up 4, 2, 3, 4 over 1, down 4, negative 1, down 4, negative 1, over 1, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So my graph will look like this. And again, if I pull up Desmos, (12x minus 3y minus 3), all of the xy pairs that make this equation true are all of these numbers here. I have 0, 1. I have negative 0.25, negative 1/4, 0. But I also have this number, can't read it that way, 0.547 or 0.56, 3.24. All of these xy pairs are xy values that I can put into the equation and it will make my equation true. So again, 12x minus 3y minus 3, that blue line has all the same answers as y equals 4x plus 1. Y equals 4x plus 1, y equals m times x plus 1. M, 4 is my slope. That's how steep my line is. 1 is the y coordinate for my y-intercept. Okay, here we go. All this work is so you can write the equation of a line. You will be writing equation of the line next week as well. 3 steps. Find your slope, find your m, find the y-intercept, find your b, and then write it in slope-intercept form, where you just plug the number in for m and you plug the number in for b. Write an equation in slope-intercept form for the line with y-intercept 1. That means 0, 1 is my y-intercept. So that means b is 1. Slope 3 tells me my slope is 3. So write the equation y equals mx plus b. Well, that would just be y equals 3x plus 1. That's it. That's really all there is to it. Number 2, write an equation of the line in slope-intercept form. Okay, slope-intercept form means they want to see it as y equals mx plus b. Slope this tells us m is 3/4. Y-intercept means the point that has address 0, 2. And so there we go. All of our pieces of information, final answer, y equals the steepness of our line, 3/4, times the x value plus the b value. All right, so given the slope, given the y-intercept, hopefully it takes you just a few seconds to write the equation of the line here in slope-intercept form. That's what you'll be asked for on the test as well. Number 3, they're not giving me the y-intercept. They're giving me 1 point, 10, -2, and a slope of -3/2. So what they're telling me here is my x is -10, my y is -2, and my m is -3/2. Personally, I always write the negative in the numerator, not hanging out front, because the reader might not see it. So if they tell me my x is -10, my y is -2, and my m is -3/2, we know y equals mx plus b. Plug in all of the numbers that you have. My y is -2. My m is -3/2. My x is -10. I'm going to write -10 as a fraction because I'm multiplying fractions. -3/2 times 10 times -10. All right. -2. Here's the scratch work for the fraction. -3/2 times -10. Personally, I would reduce this way. -10 and 2 would reduce to -5 and 1. So my answer is +15. Could we write it as -3/2 and -10? Negative times negative is positive. And 30 divided by 2 is 15. So that's where I get 15 plus b. I need b all by itself. It's not by itself. What's blocking my goal is a +15. So I choose to subtract 15 from both sides of the equation. -2 minus 15. If I take $2 from your bank account and I take 15 more, you are now down 17. So b is the same thing as 17. Now, we were asked to write an equation of the line in slope-intercept form. I need to find my m, find my b. They told me the slope. I found the b, my y-intercept. So y equals my m, -3/2, times x, plus my b. I have plus -17. I'll write it out that way for you. Plus a -17. That is the same thing as y equals -3/2 x minus 17. If you're working on ALEKS, this is the way, if it's multiple choice, this is what they'll show you. We don't usually write plus minus. So we would just write -17. And that would be your answer. Again, to write the equation of the line, step 1 is find your slope. Step 2 is find your y-intercept. And then rewrite it as y equals mx plus b, where you put the numbers in. So again, we have this 0.92 and the slope of 4/3. Give a picture over 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So over 9 and up 2. So over 9, up 2 would be right about there. So there's my point that is 9, 2. If my slope is 4/3, then I would go up 4 and over 3. I would go down 4 and over 3, down 4 and over 3. So my line is going to look like that. we're being asked to find the line that goes through this point, 9, 2, and has a steepness of 4/3. Means go up 4 blocks for every 3 you go to the right, down 4 blocks for every 3 you go to the left, because that's the same as -4 divided by a -3. All right, so when we're told 9, the ordered pair 9, 2 is a point on our line, that tells us that the pair of numbers x equal 9 and y equal 2 is a solution to the equation of the line. So we're going to use the facts that m is 4/3, x is 9, and y is 2. So m 4/3, x is 9, y is 2. Find your m, check. I got that. I need to find b. Well, y is 2, m is 4/3, x is 9. 9 is the same thing as 9 divided by 1. 36 divided by 3 is 12. I need b by itself. Write down what you're doing. So I end up with -10 is the same thing as b. I now have my m, I have my b. So y equals mx plus b in this situation is y equals the slope 4/3 times your x minus 10. When I ask you for the equation of the line, you will have the variables x and y in your answer. When I ask for the equation of the line, you will have the variables x and y in your answer. All right, line passes through this point. 8, 5 has a slope of 5/4. If you want to do a picture, that's great. Here we go. Over 8, up 5 would be my point 8/5. Up 5 over 4, down 5 over 4 would be about there, down 5 over 4. So I'm looking for the equation of the line that would be that one. I don't have to sketch it. You don't have to sketch it. I need to find my m. Well, it tells me my slope is 5/4. All right, my x is 8, my y is 5. 5/4 is my m. Y equals mx plus b. My y is 5. My m is 5/4. My x is 8. I'm going to write 8 is 8 over 1. If you need some scratch work over here, 5 over 4 times 8 over 1. It's going to be 10. Personally, I would reduce the 8 and the 4 first and recognize that my answer is 10. So 5 is the same thing as 10 plus b. Plus 10 is blocking my goal. -5 is my b. So then my final answer is y equals m 5x plus b, or in this case, it's -5. And that would be your answer. Y equals the 5/4 x minus 5. Done. And that's what you would put back into ALEKS. All right, if you have other questions, let me know. The next video will talk about parallel and perpendicular lines.